Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Last week on the show, I asked, what would you do if you won the lottery? How would your life change? What would you buy? How would you live? And I think a common answer to that question is people saying, Matt, I'm not going to work anymore. Matt, I'm not going to do my job that I do. I want you to think about that idea as I tell you the story of the coaching history at Oregon State. Mike Riley left that job 3 different times. The Chargers came calling. That was one of the worst teams in the NFL when they came calling. And he said, sayonara, Beavers. I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to lose 14, 15 games a year, and I'm going to feel great. Nebraska came calling. He said, sorry, Beavers. I know I'm winning 9, 10 games a year. I'd rather get my butt kicked by Oklahoma and Texas every year. Then the AAF called. He wasn't even a head coach at this point. He was a tight ends coach. And the AAF, junior football, it's semi-pro basically, not even close to the NFL. The AAF calls Mike Riley, and he says, hey, I'm going to pack my bags and take this. I'm not staying at Oregon State, right? That's how much disrespect Mike Riley had for the Oregon State football head coaching job. Gary Anderson disrespected that job so much, he threw away millions of dollars just to get out of his contract. Think about people that say, I would leave my job if I won $1 million. Think about people that would say, I would never work another day in my life if I had millions and millions of dollars. Gary Anderson spent millions and millions and millions of dollars so that he couldn't work the Oregon State job anymore. This was the worst head coaching job in all of Power 5 college football. No one wanted it. No one cared about it. Small market, no airport, can't fly recruits in. You got to fly them to Portland, or even worse, fly them to Eugene. And that's the rub. As good as Oregon State can get, say you get 6 or 7 or 8 wins, Mike Riley. Say you beat some competitive teams in the Pac-12, Gary Anderson. Every year, the question will be asked, did you beat Oregon? You're in Oregon's shadow. That's nice. Now show me what Oregon did. Every year. And it was eating at these coaches' souls. They didn't want to be there anymore. They didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And so I'm just going to say this to start the show. Regardless of how this season ends at Oregon State, whether they beat the Huskies on Saturday, whether they beat the Ducks after Thanksgiving, whether they win a bowl game or get to a New Year's Six bowl or win a Pac-12 title, all these things are in the possibilities now for Beaver fans. All these things are possible and tangible in a way that they never were before. Regardless of whether any of that comes true, respect what Jonathan Smith has accomplished. This was the worst Power 5 job in America. No one wanted it, and the folks that had it wanted out of it. They fought their way out of it. Jonathan Smith went the opposite way. He showed up with a Pac-10 championship ring and a Fiesta Bowl ring, and he called it his dream job at his dream school in his dream town, and now he's got Beaver fans dreaming of big days in Corvallis. This team legitimately has people thinking, are they the best team in Oregon? Are they the best team in the Pac-12? Regardless of whether they finished that job or not, respect the job Jonathan Smith has done, turning around the reputation of that program. Empty cupboard, now it's full. Beavers with a lot to look forward to, not just this weekend, but beyond. 541-630-4792. I'd love your thoughts on Oregon State, on the Ducks. They got a big matchup with Stanford. I'd love your thoughts as we turn a page on Week 3 of the NFL, move to Week 4. Got some unbeaten teams, including the one that I love dearly. And I say dearly. I don't know if dearly is the best word to describe my Raider fandom. I feel like I have to pick against them every week this year. I initially said the Ravens would beat them and then the Steelers would beat them. They would go 0-2. I changed my mind heading into the season opener. I said Baltimore's banged up, the Raiders will win. At halftime of that Monday night game, if you had called me and said, Matt, do you still believe the Raiders would win? I would have bet my house that Baltimore gets the W. I'm thankful I didn't bet my house because I wouldn't be able to broadcast here today on the show. Or I think about the week after where I certainly said Pittsburgh's pass rush will be formidable. That defense will pressure Derek Carr. West Coast team going 10 a.m. East Coast on a Sunday morning. These are the games the Raiders get killed. Short week, yada, yada, yada. I definitely said they were going to lose to Pittsburgh. And they outclassed Pittsburgh. They pretty convincingly defeat the Steelers. And then last Sunday, the game that should have been the convincing one, the game that should have felt pretty easy. Quarterback got hurt. Defense gave up 5 touchdowns last week. I'm thinking the Raiders are going to have a pretty easy going on Sunday against Miami, and the Dolphins get out to that 2-touchdown lead. I sweated out every second of that game, including overtime. I had no faith, and I have no idea what to expect heading into the Monday night game. But let me know, as we turn a page from week 3 to week 4, how do you feel about your teams? 541-630-4792. Let me throw this question at you. In your life as a football fan, in your opinion, who is the most surprising draft bust? We have these names every year. We have these stories. I think about 2 linebackers, 2 of the safest picks in their drafts. Like in 2009, when Seattle picked Aaron Curry. I want to say number 2 overall. I might be mistaken. I know for certain he was top 5. Aaron Curry, a linebacker. And the reason why that was supposed to be a safe pick, he's not a quarterback. You're not asking him to memorize a 500-page playbook. He's not supposed to be the field general. He was just like a strong side linebacker. And that's a position, as we've seen repeatedly in the NFL, if you have the right measurables, if you're big enough, strong enough, and fast enough, you're going to be a great linebacker. I think about K.J. Wright. For years, he's made his money doing one thing, blowing up the line on 3rd and short, because he's really big and really fast. Aaron Curry had those incredible measurables. He was big. He had long arms. He was fast. I looked at him. I saw a 3-down linebacker. You can play him in coverage. He'll tip passes, pick footballs. I said you can blitz him. Strong. He can hit the quarterback. And Aaron Curry, did he have any memorable games in Seattle? Did he do anything in Seattle? I know the Seahawks cut him because he ended up in Oakland a few years down the line. But, I think about him as a surprising draft bust. And then talk about Oakland. My Raiders, the year after that Aaron Curry draft, I was banging the drum for Aaron Curry to come to Oakland, by the way. The year after that Aaron Curry draft, I think the Raiders got a little envious of Seattle. Maybe they shouldn't have been. And they spent their first-round pick on a standout middle linebacker from the best defense in the best conference in college football. Definition of a safe pick, Rolando McClain. And you know the rest of the story. Head case. Crazy. All the talent in the world, but he could never put it together on Sundays. There's no such thing as a safe pick in the NFL. And I want to bring this idea up to you. Every year, teams think they make the home run pick. They think they've drafted someone that will change their franchise for the better. Like when Seattle got Aaron Curry, when my Raiders got Rolando McClain. Every year there are examples of this. Can't miss players, safest picks in the draft, and they flame out. Because for whatever reason, You can check off every box. You can have the all-time greatest draft resume. I've seen this countless times. The NFL is a different game. You can be the greatest college football player ever and look like one of the most dominant college football players of your class, but when you graduate to the NFL, it's a whole different world. So I wonder right now, 3 games in, what if Trevor Lawrence is a bust? What if Trevor Lawrence isn't simply a good quarterback hampered by a bad coach and a bad team? What if this is a guy that just can't handle the NFL level? I've seen him throw some ugly throws, some no brain, no thought, terrible interceptions. NFL quarterbacks don't make those decisions. But in college, he never had to make those decisions. In college, his receivers would be open. In college, his line would protect him and allow him to scan the defense accurately. They'd give him an extra second or two to think about what he needs to do. He doesn't have that in the NFL. And the corners are all elite, right? You might have one game in college football when you're playing Bama or LSU where you've really got to put some zip on the ball, or you really got to think about whether or not this corner in coverage can make a play on the football. In the NFL, every corner can make a game-winning play on the football. That's why they're in the NFL. So Trevor Lawrence, I'm starting to wonder, we know he was the number 1 overall pick. We know he was the best quarterback in college football for a 4-year span. Is he just not good in the NFL? Is he just a bust in the NFL? Surprising draft busts happen. This wouldn't be the first. It wouldn't be the last. 541-630-4792. One last thing, really, really quick. We'll get you Blazers audio. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get this on the other side for you. Audio from Blazers Media Day, head coach Chauncey Billups. I thought this was really interesting. The very first question he was asked was about his team buying in to his new system, his new identity, and how that process is going. Really got to the heart of the issue. Can Chauncey Billups fix the Blazers defense and make this team a title contender? He addresses that next. Plus, I want to look back at the Monday night game last night, look back at what Jonathan Smith told the media in Corvallis today, and talk about baseball history. I'm rooting for it. I hope it happens. We'll see if it happens this week. We'll talk about it next. What can the Mariners do to finally break their playoff drought? We'll talk about that next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
Apply today if you're looking for a job with an amazing company. Do you want to work for a company that understands how business is conducted and how to treat people right? One that recognizes how their employees directly impact their success? Well, at MasterBrand, we get it. MasterBrand has been attracting talented people from a variety of backgrounds for years. At MasterBrand, you will experience a working environment and culture where all associates are respected and valued. You see, at MasterBrand, we believe our employees are our most important strength, and since you contribute directly to our success, you receive a highly competitive and comprehensive compensation and benefits package, including medical, dental, vision, life, and more. At MasterBrand, you'll receive paid time off to take care of the things that matter most, and we will support you and your family to stay healthy, physically, emotionally, and financially. Let's be successful together. Join an amazing team at MasterBrand. Apply today at masterbrand.com.
Want to learn a new language so it will actually stick? Try Babbel. Practice real-life conversations in the Babbel app.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Get personalized help in Babbel's live online classes.
Classes are limited to 6 people, so everyone can get the help they need.
Review words and phrases with fun games, or dive into the culture with short videos. Whatever your learning style, Babbel gives you the tools you need. Babbel. More ways to learn. Start learning a new language today at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds. And most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
Worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
we rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
The JR Sport Brief is on CBS Sports Radio.
I don't care if these players are out here cheating. I don't care if they look for a leg up. I expect it. With all of the money that's out there, all of the money that's potentially on the line, all of the money that they can go out and make, is it right for them to go out and cheat? No. Is it honorable? No. Do I fault any of them? No, I don't. It's something that I have accepted.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Can you feel it? Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
We'll get you audio from Chauncey Billups and Blazers Media Day yesterday next. But first, I want to talk about history. Baseball is the most historic sport in America. When you play for over 100 years and you have countless writers and reporters and historians breaking down every facet of the game, statisticians and filmers and even scientists looking at baseball intimately every waking moment, you're going to have lots of history. This is history right here. The Mariners are one and a half games back of the AL wild card. There are 5 games left in the regular season. They have played 44 years as a franchise. This is the end of their 44th season. And in those 44 seasons, they have only had 4 playoff appearances and none for 2 decades. They have a chance to make history this week. And I want to hear from you, 541-630-4792. From 2 camps, I want to hear from Mariner fan. I want to hear from people that care about this team, that love this team or hate this team, and how they feel about their chances of adding to that very, very, very small list of playoff appearances. And I want to hear from people that aren't Mariners fans, but can relate to that, either good or bad, right? Like, I think there's a special pain that fans of bad teams have. There is a special strength and endurance that you need to have if you were a Jets fan or a Browns fan in the NFL and you're used to your team being a punching bag for the majority of your life. Or I think about what the Cubs were before they broke the Billy Goat curse. Or say in the NBA what the Cavaliers were before they drafted LeBron. Where they've never won, they're never going to win, and you just accept this team is always going to suck. Kind of like where the Knicks are now, even though the Knicks are better with Tom Thibodeau in charge, Tom Thibodeau. But you know what I mean. Like, rooting for a team that logically is never going to win a championship. The Mariners have been a baseball team for 44 years. And in that span, the Red Sox broke their curse. The Cubs broke their curse. The White Sox broke their curse. The Tribe almost broke their curse. And in those 44 seasons, the Mariners have only even made the playoffs 4 times. That is mind-boggling to me. And I'm rooting for them to make history this week. I'm rooting for them to erase that deficit, climb up the standings. 5 games left, 1.5 the trail that they need to make up. 1.5 games back. If they get that, anything else can happen, and I'm along for the ride. 541-630-4792. If you're a Mariners fan and you're rooting for that too, I want to hear from you. If you're just a baseball fan or just a sports fan of a team that is like the Mariners, let me know. Who do you think is like the Mariners in sports? Who do you think you could compare that to? If I say 44 years, that's older than I've been alive. Older than a lot of my listeners have been alive. 44 years, 4 playoff appearances. Can you tell me, Matt, my fandom can one-up that? Right, I know Oregon State fan can crow about that, but it's harder in college football. College basketball, I think you could talk about that too with March Madness. Again, way harder to pull off. Way harder to make a deep tournament run or make a run to the college football playoff or a New Year's Six Bowl. But are you a fan of an NFL team that has only had that many playoff appearances in your life, or an NBA team, or a hockey team that just fails and disappoints you every season? The Mariners have given their fans no hope for 44 years. For some reason, they're giving them hope this week. Half a game, or 1.5 games back, 5 games left. I think that's really cool. Let's get you audio from Blazers Media Day. Chauncey Billups, new head coach, his very first question was, how has the team taken to your new approach on defense? I loved this question. I thought it was straight to the point, and I liked his answer, too. Chauncey Billups on how the Blazers have bought in this summer.
It's the summertime, and everybody is a new coach. So I've been in that position before, and I think everybody wants to try to impress the new coach or the new staff. But the conversations have been great, and I think that, in all honesty, like, everybody wants to be better, and everybody wants to win. And if we're being honest with ourselves, that's the best chance that we can know that we're going to be a better team, is if defensively, we actually commit to competing. That's one of the things that I'll talk about a lot with the guys, is just committing to compete. Because defense it's not easy, and it's sometimes not fun. But if you want to be a great team in the NBA, we talk so much about the offense and the three-point shot and all of that, which is a really big deal. But the further you advance in the playoffs, I've never seen a team win a championship or even compete at the highest level for one that wasn't a good defensive team.
Now, say what you will about the controversy that swirled around the Blazers when they hired Chauncey Billups. That is an issue, and I think it will remain an issue at least for this first season. Until the fans trust him, I think the drama surrounding the hire off the court is going to be an elephant in the room that the Blazers need to address, and they haven't done that yet. All that said, when I hear Chauncey Billups talk about basketball, I agree with everything he says. I think he's spot on. And think about it from this perspective. In basketball, your team might score 100 points or 110 or 120 a night. And the Blazers have been pretty good about that. They'll put up 120, but they lose because the other team gets 125 or 130. Their offense has been incredible. Dame can put up 50 a night. CJ can give you 20. Nurk can get you 20 and a few boards as well, all those putbacks. You get to the line, Carmelo gets you clutch buckets. The Blazers' offense has done the job. The Blazers' defense has been pathetic. If the Blazers could just get, say, 5 more stops, I'm not saying the world's greatest defense. I'm not saying the world's most perfect, shut-down, dominant D. But in a game where, say, the other team has 50 possessions, if you got 5 more stops, break it down by quarter, or just about 1 or 2 stops a quarter. Plays that are buckets right now that maybe you get a block, or maybe you get a tip, or maybe you just disrupt the timing of the play because you cover your guy a little bit tougher than before. If the Blazers could just get that, I think the Blazers would be an elite team. That's all we're talking about here. 4 or 5 more stops a game, and you're looking at an 8 to 10 point swing, and you're looking at, say, 10 losses becoming 10 wins. That's the goal for the Blazers. Can Chauncey Billups execute that goal? That still remains to be seen. Like I said, the controversy surrounding hiring a coach who may be a rapist, and the Blazers said they did their investigation, and the authorities, to their credit, to his credit, the authorities have not pursued that for 20 years. That will remain an issue until the fans trust Chauncey Billups. You're still going to have people that say, both in the fan base and in the locker room, you're going to have questions about his character until he wins everybody over. And when he wins everybody over, or if he wins everybody over, I think the Blazers have a really good coach. 541-630-4792 if you want to chime in. Let's reset Monday Night Football really quick. I've said for years that not simply in sports, but in life, great management does less, not more. Meaning, great management, great supervisors and managers and directors in key jobs get out of the way and let good people do good work. They don't micromanage. They don't get caught up on every little tiny insignificant detail and strangle their workers by getting in the way and bungling everything. They hire somebody to do a good job and they let them do it. And it's true in my workforce. My boss pretty much gives me free reign on this sports station. And I'm not saying we're the greatest sports station in the world, but I've been in places where you don't have that freedom and the product suffers as a result. I've been in places where the boss is really more of an expert on country music and he doesn't know how to run a sports station, or the boss is really more of an expert on rock music and he doesn't know how to run a sports station, and they screw it up. Great management does less, not more. Say what you will about Mike McCarthy. I'm never going to call him a genius. I'm never going to mistake him for a Mensa member. I think that he can be a meathead at times, and when he goes up against the Kyle Shanahans and the Sean McVays and even the John Grudens of the world, tactically, he's outclassed. Mike McCarthy is not the brilliant genius mastermind scheming up wins for the Cowboys. But great management does less, not more. And the Cowboys are the kind of team where I think that approach is the right one. You have an all-pro tailback in Zeke Elliott. You have an all-pro quarterback in Dak Prescott. You have a bona fide number one wide receiver in Amari Cooper. On offense, do less, not more. Get out of the way. You have good players. You have talented players. Build a system around their strengths and let them thrive. That's what the Cowboys are doing offensively, and it's working. As for the defensive side of the ball, he's finally got players there. The linebacking core might be the best in the league with Micah Parsons. And Parsons is a player, he reminds me a lot of Derwin James. You've seen these types of bodies enter the NFL. I think about Derwin, obviously. I think about the rookie linebacker in Cleveland, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think about the Cardinals draft pick last year, the Clemson kid, the linebacker, Isaiah Simmons. Right? Was he a safety? Was he a Mike linebacker? Was he an edge rusher? Nobody really knew. And that's the right thing. That's a good thing. Because it's a testament to his versatility. Well, Micah Parsons is just as versatile. You can play him at linebacker. You can have him in coverage. You can have him rush the passer. And Dan Patrick talked about this morning. He's like Elvis Dumervil. He's so small that it actually works to his benefit because offensive linemen can't get a hand on him. He's too small. He's like a running back squeaking through the holes in the trenches. You just can't get leverage on him, right? Well, the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy is not a brilliant mastermind dialing up big plays. Mike McCarthy went out and advised Jerry Jones on the players that he needed to run a very specific scheme. And Mike McCarthy just gets out of the way and lets those players make plays. This Cowboys team, if they stay healthy, I like them to make the playoffs because I think the talent is really coming home for them first 3 weeks of the year. The offense, healthy and talented. That was never up for debate as long as they were healthy. The defense, balanced. You've got playmakers at every level. And Mike McCarthy's stepping out of the way, letting them make plays. 541-630-4792. This is Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Audio from Corvallis, Jonathan Smith. Audio from Eugene, Verone McKinley, Ducks DB. And the biggest questions heading into Week 4. That's headed your way next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580, The Game.
In the Army National Guard, soldiers serve part-time and close to home.
My community means everything to me. It helped shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Oregon Army National Guard, aired by the Oregon Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Jim Rome is on CBS Sports Radio.
The Phoenix Suns are good, really good, and extremely tough. They are built for this. Their offense is good, but they get after you on defense. They'll lock you up, and they will punish you in transition. I bring this up because the Suns were supposed to be a team that was inexperienced when it came to the playoffs. A team that was supposed to melt under all the pressure and expectation. They're that good, and they are that dangerous.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Jonathan Smith, head coach of the Beavers, coming off the biggest win of his career as their head coach. He was asked today, you got Washington on Saturday. Fans are chomping at the bit to see this team back at Reeser. How do you avoid a letdown? Hear his answer. Jonathan Smith, head coach of the Beavs.
Well, it starts with me. But ultimately, I go back to this leadership on this team. These guys are well aware how long football games are, how it's not easy to win. And, it takes great preparation, and I'm confident these guys will be back to work tomorrow.
It takes great preparation. Jonathan Smith, head coach of the Beavers. I'm not that concerned. I'm not that concerned purely because I went into the USC game saying to myself, this was the litmus test for Oregon State. This was the game where you could test yourself against another roster and say, are we good enough? Think about this. I'm going to share this stat with you another time in another segment of the show. There is a chart, I think it's 24/7 Sports, a chart that they put together that tracks how many 4 or more star ranked players, meaning players that had a 4-star ranking or better, 4-star or 5-star, on a given roster. And on that chart, USC had 46 players, 4-star ranking or better. Guess how many players Oregon State had? They had 7 players. So what that tells me is that Oregon State, after thrashing USC, has a really good roster. Even if they only had 7 4-star or higher players coming out of high school, they've got a whole team of guys that are really, really good right now. I think Oregon State just proved on Saturday that's the second best team in the Pac-12 North. And I think they should be favored to win on Saturday. I don't see this as a letdown game for the Beavers. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Oregon, Verone McKinley, Ducks Corner. He was asked about Oregon's penchant for turnovers. I've heard it argued that the Ducks scheme picks this year. Does he believe in that? Verone McKinley, talking about the Oregon defense under Tim DeRuyter.
Just something we emphasize in practice, and, we didn't do that as well last year, so we wanted to kind of get back to taking the ball away and helping our offense out. So I think that's probably why.
Well, he hinted at it there. I mean, they didn't really scheme for it last year. They do for this year. And as much as fans want to complain about this Oregon defense, you want to say, Matt, we're giving up points. Matt, teams have a chance to steal games from us. Arizona could have taken the lead in the fourth quarter. I've read your complaints. I've heard your complaints for days. I understand it. You want this team to be a shutdown defense. Those are very rare in 2021 in football. The alternative, if you can't have a shutdown defense, have a defense that forces turnovers. Have a defense that takes the football away from your opposition and gives the football back to your offense. John Gruden said this in the offseason to David Carr of NFL Network. And I think it's just as true in the NFL as it is at every other level of football. John Gruden said, I don't need my defense to be the 85 Bears. I don't need my defense to pitch a shutout. Just give me the football. Give my offense the football one more time. In a sport where so often it's a one-score margin in the final whistle, where so often 1 or 2 plays make or break your Saturday or your Sunday, just give me the football one more time. He's totally right. And Oregon, for all their flaws, they're not shutting teams out. Stony Brook scored more than 0. Fresno State scored more than 0. Arizona, worst team in the Pac-12, they were competitive. Sure, you can freak out about that. But in every game this season, consistently, the Ducks force turnovers. And consistently, the Ducks are unbeaten. They have not lost. And they are in the running for the college football playoff. I don't think that's a coincidence. 541-630-4792. Heading into week 4, 2 things. I want to remind you, Thursday Night Football right here on the game this Thursday night, it's not going to be the best game. I'm just going to warn you right now. I think it's going to be a sleeper. Jags and Bengals. Jags and Bengals. I hope that it's not as bad as I fear, because I'm at this point with Trevor Lawrence where I wonder, he looks like a bust. He just looks busty. He's making throws that smart quarterbacks don't make. He's making throws that I wouldn't expect someone of his caliber in college to make. But he wouldn't be the first quarterback that I whiffed on. I remember thinking Brady Quinn, really smart, cerebral player in college. I remember thinking Brady Quinn would be a natural pro. I could say the same for Joey Harrington. And what's funny is Joey, as smart as he was, crafty as he was at Oregon, he straight up said countless times, he was like, I went into the NFL and they threw the West Coast offense at me, and it was way above my pay grade. I had no idea what I was doing. I fear that Trevor Lawrence is that way for Jacksonville this year. The throws he's making are so errant and so thoughtless. You don't try to thread the needle into double coverage. You don't throw off your back foot. You don't throw across your body. He's doing that, and he's getting burned on it. Pick sixes and bad interceptions, killing drives. I want to see a better Trevor Lawrence on Thursday night. So even though I don't think that's going to be a great game, I do think that it's an appointment game. Watch it, and if you can't watch it, listen to it. 96.1, 580 The Game. Heading into Week 4, my biggest questions. I talked about this last night. I'm going to revisit it really quick. Can the unbeatens stay unbeaten? My silver and black are 4-0. They go to the Chargers. They go to brand-new SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, prime time on Monday Night Football, and I've already heard it's going to be a blackout. Raider fans are going to that game in droves. I don't blame them. L.A. Raider fan, people like my dad. My dad was an old L.A. Raider season ticket holder 30 years ago. People like my dad that stayed in SoCal are going to that game. Can the Raiders pull that off? I think by far the L.A. Chargers, Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley, that's the best opposition Vegas will have faced this year. Lamar Jackson missed some key throws in the second half. Justin Herbert won't miss throws. Ben Roethlisberger is a shell of his former self. Justin Herbert is in the prime of his life. The Steeler line, the Steeler defense, way more questionable than L.A. Rashawn Slater has been a godsend for the Chargers at left tackle. And then there's Miami. Tua was injured. Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores was injured too. I don't know why he called that screen call in the second quarter. That is the craziest coaching decision so far of the year. Throw a bubble screen where your receiver, or no, it wasn't even a bubble screen, because in a bubble screen there's a blocker. This was a jailbreak screen is the call, because your receiver is out in prison. He's got no help. Jailbreak screen in the end zone. It's the kind of play that they probably thought the Raiders aren't expecting this. Well, of course they weren't expecting this. No one in their right mind would call that play in that spot, and it backfired beautifully against Miami. In terms of talent and in terms of coaching, this Chargers team is the toughest opposition Vegas will face. Can they stay unbeaten? I'm leaning towards no in the moment. Broncos hosting the Ravens. Can they stay unbeaten? I think Baltimore, as much as I just beat up on them a minute ago, that's the best team the Broncos have faced. You beat up on Zach Wilson, rookie quarterback with the Jets. You beat up on Trevor Lawrence, same story in Jacksonville. The Broncos haven't beat anybody good yet. Panthers going to the Cowboys. I feel the same way about Carolina. Houston is not a team you brag about beating. Jameis Winston is not a quarterback that you brag about beating. It's not like going into Indy at the height of Peyton Manning's powers and stealing a W, or going to New Orleans and getting one from Drew Brees. Jameis is Jameis. 30 for 30. Famous Jameis, eating a W, right? He's going to have games like the one he had against Carolina. That's just who he is, no matter who is his coach or who his team is. There are going to be games where that old Jameis rears its head, and he throws a bunch of picks and makes a bunch of mistakes. I don't trust the Panthers until I see them beat a quality team. I think Dallas is a quality team. I like the Cowboys right now. And Rams hosting the Cardinals, to me, that just comes down to how you see the game. Great offenses versus great defenses. I am going to give the edge to a great defense if they can stop passing games. Tampa in the Super Bowl. I bet against the Bucs. They showed me why I was wrong. Legion of Boom back in the day. I hoped they could pull it off. I wanted them to pull it off. I didn't think they really could until I saw them do it. Great passing defenses have proven time and time again in the NFL that they can shut down your great offenses, no matter who the quarterback or who the receivers are. And I feel that way about the Rams heading into that game against the Cardinals. Is it an elite defense in the way of the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens? No. But it is an elite passing defense, and I think that's enough to get the edge over Arizona on Sunday. 541-630-4792. Mario Cristobal got in a fight with one of his receivers Saturday night, and there's been a lot of arguments about who was in the right, who was in the wrong. Did Coach Cristobal get a little too physical? I want to hear from you. Did you see this? Mario Cristobal versus Chris Hudson on Saturday night. I want to talk about this, share my thoughts on it, and get your thoughts as well. Plus, I want to catch up to a bevy of text messages. You've been awesome tonight, very active listening and commenting and contributing to the show, and I'm going to make that possible next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW, 96.1, 580, The Game.
I need to go out and get a cheap costume, full mask, and deluxe backpack today.
Sounds like you're trying to make a quick getaway.
No, I'm just going shopping at the Magic Man.
So you are making a quick getaway to the sale at Magic Man?
Well, yes. If I don't get there soon, all the best discount costumes could be gone at 50% off. Plus, I want a mask for Halloween, and the kid needs a backpack for school, and...
Wow, I want a cheap costume for me and the kid, too. Let's go now.
It might be early, but Magic Man has Halloween stuff in all the time.
I'm getting excited just thinking about Halloween, but the kid's backpack is a good idea, too.
We could get some other stuff, too, if you know what I mean.
The adult room is not out of the question.
Make it down to the Magic Man for 50% off red tag costumes and 20% off backpacks and masks all month long. In Medford at the Bear Creek Plaza on Biddle and McAndrews. In Grants Pass at the G Street Plaza downtown. And the Safeway Plaza on Williams Highway in West Grants Pass.
Hey, where did you go?
I'm making the quick getaway to Magic Man.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Or maybe he's teething.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
From opening night to Super Bowl 56, don't miss a second of the NFL's biggest season ever. Hi, this is Kurt Warner of Westwood One. Join our crew each week for the best primetime NFL action. Thursday, Sunday, and of course, Monday Night Football. Listen to the NFL's brightest stars on Westwood One, the exclusive radio home for every primetime NFL game. Right here.
Covering football all year long, 96.1, 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Wrapping up hour number one, I'm always thankful for you, the listener, and your texts. I got to catch up, though. I've been really bad about this. Let's start with this one. Somebody says, hey, man, you got me into the Black Tornado. Great work. Well, how about those kids? Like, let's talk about this. Friday night, last Friday night, I was in Hillsborough covering North Medford High School football at Liberty. And this is the same Black Tornado team that I saw 2 weeks prior get blown out. Wasn't even close, wasn't competitive. They got blown out 2 weeks ago in their season opener. They win in Medford last Friday. They go up to Liberty. This was the 24th of September, so just a few days ago now. They go up to Liberty, and they get in a shootout in the second half. North scores like 3 touchdowns. Then Liberty scores like 3 touchdowns. Liberty takes the lead, and it's bedlam. And North Medford comes back. Their defense tightens up late, and they hold on. They've got a 2-game win streak. They are hosting Bend on Friday night. Kyle Clements will have the call right here on the game. I got South Medford this week, and then I got North Medford the week after. I'm really excited for both of these high school teams this year, but especially North Medford. They look like the real deal. A lot of fun, great kids putting up great results, and I'm just thankful I get to cover them on the radio. Some more text messages that I want to catch up to here. You can always chime in, 541-630-4792. This one's a throwback. The listener brings up, quote, "You were correct, Matt. The A's faded. Bad, tired bullpen. Mariners are good. Hope they can make it." That's, I think it was right before my honeymoon. Right before my honeymoon, we got in a conversation about baseball teams. And it pained me to say it because I'm an A's fan and I'm a Seth Brown fan. You know, we're North Medford guys, Medford kids. Of course I'm going to root for Brownie, especially when he's rocking the green collar. And I wanted the A's to be a playoff contender. I just didn't believe in them. I saw a team that was fading. Unfortunately, that's proven itself to be true. Some more here. Quote, "Heard you saying Jonathan Smith doesn't like going into student-athletes' homes and recruiting them. He may not like Twitter and social media, but he relishes the personal visits in students' homes with their parents and selling his vision and coming to Corvallis in person." Now, I think that's fair. I'm not saying that Jonathan Smith hates all of recruiting. That was a little hyperbolic by me, and I apologize for that. What I mean to say is I think there's a certain personality that thrives as a recruiter. Really extroverted, really high energy, 100% pep. And Jonathan Smith is not that guy. I sense discomfort from him at times in recruiting. I sense discomfort from him in fundraising and going out, doing media day, getting out in front of Joe Public, trying to sell his program to the world. That's not where Jonathan Smith is most comfortable. Luckily for Oregon State, he's comfortable in his locker room. He's comfortable in the facility in Corvallis, and he's comfortable with his coaching staff and his players. They believe in Jonathan Smith, even if he isn't that archetype personality that you picture when you picture a successful college football coach. Jonathan Smith is getting it done a different way. At Oregon State right now, sky is the limit. Unbeaten in the Pac-12. You beat Washington this weekend. You beat Stanford in a couple of weeks. And everybody's going to be talking about the Beavers. That's the world I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for a November where Oregon and Oregon State face off for the Pac-12 North Division title. That's what I'm hoping for. Right now it's possible. 541-630-4792. Wrapping up hour number one. Hour number one, wrapping up right here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Mario Cristobal. He got in a fight with wide receiver Chris Hudson on Saturday. And we're going to talk about this more in the next segment. But first, I just want to talk to you about this. Some people thought Mario Cristobal was a little too harsh. Some people thought, Mario Cristobal throwing off the headset, screaming at the kid was too much. Maybe it was a race thing, right? Before we get into that, before we start pointing fingers at Mario Cristobal, let me ask you, how did Chris Hudson respond to it? I'm not a great lip reader. I saw yes sir, no sir. We'll revisit this next, right here. Comfort is more than a feeling. It's a promise. That's why Lamb Heating and Air has partnered with York Air Conditioning as the only certified dealer in the Rogue Valley for commercial and residential spaces. York Air Conditioning has redefined home comfort with unparalleled efficiency, convenience, and reliability. If you're ready to enjoy the summer in comfort, call Lamb Heating and Air in Grants Pass at 541-476-6978 and Medford at 541-772-8260 or visit lamb-air.com. Lamb not only installs quality York AC systems, they offer a 24-hour AC emergency response and maintain and repair any type of cooling system so you can enjoy optimal comfort and confidence that you and your family are breathing clean air. If it's time for a new AC, repairs, or you have a cooling system emergency, Lamb Air and York Air Conditioning are here for you. Call Lamb Air in Grants Pass at 541-476-6978 and Medford at 541-772-8260. Pride in performance.
Hey, America. We need to have a little talk. We've got more food in our country than we know what to do with. Food at the grocery store and food in the vending machines, fast food, health food, and seafood. We've got so much food that anything people don't buy, we just throw out. Yet 17 million kids in America struggle with hunger. That ain't right. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Yeah, I made that up. It's kind of catchy. Hello, people. This isn't rocket science. We could solve hunger today. To start, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. That's a website, duh. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Who do I play high school softball for? I play for my mom and dad who've never missed a game.
Whether they're playing for their teammates, their classmates, or their community, high school student athletes in Oregon learn important lessons they'll use for the rest of their lives, like respect for the rules and the value of hard work and sacrifice. This message presented by the Oregon School Activities Association and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
Opinions? Zach Gelb's got them.
Hearing Russell Wilson say that he never wanted to leave Seattle, that's like me saying, hey, I'm going on a diet. I don't want ice cream. But Ryan, if you're in an ice cream store and you see vanilla chocolate, Ben & Jerry's fish food, and then chocolate chip cookie dough, I don't want it because I'm trying to lose weight. But if you see those 4 ice creams, go ahead and bring them to the office and maybe we'll have a little ice cream party.
Weeknights at 6 on 96.1 580 The Game.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to inspire others.
Why do thousands of teenagers here in Oregon participate in high school sports and activities?
My reason why is friendship.
Their reasons are as diverse as the students themselves. But the one thing they all share is the opportunity to have fun and learn important life lessons. Lessons like supporting their community, learning how to be a leader, and building lifelong friendships.
My reason why is defying expectations.
Is there a grade school or middle school student in your family? Then encourage them to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school.
My reason why is to make a change in the world.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Oregon School Activities Association.
This is your home for the Beavers.
Stevie races front court, shoots for 3 for the win. He hits it! The Beavers win! He hits it!
KTMT 580 AM and K241CA 96.1 FM Ashland.
Your teams.
It is Barner! It is Barner! And he's gone!
The Beavers are the national champions!
Brandon, a three-pointer out front.
Hit it! Yes, he did!
His take.
Here's what I think.
Matt Bagley. Bagley.
When I was just a regular person, didn't cover sports for a living, I thought that all fans were optimists by nature. They always would just assume my team is going to win the Super Bowl or the World Series or the national championship, and your team sucks. That's what I thought fan bases were all like, generally. But getting to know these fan bases, I believe that I'm not the only sports pessimist out there.
Talking local sports.
Are you a pessimist or an optimist when it comes to your favorite team? I am a pessimist. I tell you this, and I'm curious where you are as a fan, because I know where I was last night. And when Patrick Mahomes did the inevitable and came back and won in a way that only Patrick Mahomes can seemingly do, I was numb.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Late in the first half Saturday night, Oregon marched down the field in the middle of a 2-minute drill. Anthony Brown lobs it up for Chris Hudson, and he nets a 29-yard completion. Humongous passing play. Oregon gets to midfield. Ducks are going to score, less than a minute to go, and then it all unraveled. He spins the ball on the ground in celebration. The officials dock an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and that penalty wipes out the catch, moves the Ducks back to their own 37. The drive stalls out, and Mario Cristobal goes ballistic. Headset flies off. There's some spitting. There's some yelling. It was a butt chewing is really what it was. Mario Cristobal just tore into his wideout, and the nation noticed. I've read comments from people that thought it was too much, comments from people that wondered if there was some racial animus. I want to offer this to you. Before we start pointing fingers at Mario Cristobal and comparing him to, say, Woody Hayes putting hands on a player back in the day, or Bobby Knight doing the same, how did Chris Hudson respond to that verbal barrage from Coach Cristobal? Did Chris Hudson just tune his coach out? Did Chris Hudson fight with his coach? Did he argue with his coach? Obviously, there wasn't a field mic picking up that audio. Oregon wouldn't let anybody hear that, even if the cameras got close to him. They had to zoom in from a distance. They weren't getting mics in on that fight. But if you watched the video, you watched Mario Cristobal tear into that player, and the player respond, I saw Chris Hudson look Mario Cristobal in the eyes. I could read Chris Hudson's lips, and he's nodding his helmet. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How did Chris Hudson respond to it? It's not like he was that upset at Mario Cristobal. I think he was encouraged. Mario Cristobal just woke him up in a really bad play, in a really bad moment, and Mario Cristobal coached his player. Is that really that much of a bad thing? And let's consider the alternatives here. I brought up Woody Hayes. I brought up Bobby Knight. Do you want Mario Cristobal to get violent with a player? To get physical? To grab somebody and shake them or hit them? No. We've established that that's not right in college football. That's not how you lead men. But I think in football, sometimes your coach has to get in a guy's face and yell at him. Not always. If Mario Cristobal was doing that 24/7, 365, I'd be concerned. But when you make a bogus, boneheaded penalty that blows a drive for your team in a game you need to win to reach the national championship, yeah, your coach is going to scream at you. Your coach is going to be a little mad at you. We should expect that. We should be okay with that. I'm okay with that. I wonder if you are too. 541-630-4792. Time for my weekly reactions to the 3 NFL teams that I'm willing to bet you care about. I've said this before. Southern Oregon is a really fascinating area for NFL fandom because you have Cowboys fans, you have Steelers fans, you have Packer fan and Dolphin fan out there because those are iconic teams of a certain generation. But I think predominantly there are 3 fan bases you care about. There are Seahawks fans, Niner fans, and Raider fans. So I'm going to share my reactions to those teams this weekend, this hour of the show. Let's start with the faithful. I'm not going to sell you a lie. I'm not going to tell you to blow everything up and fire people and burn the house down. The Niners lost, but they lost a nail-biter. They lost about as close as you could possibly lose. Think about this. The great teams in the NFL need to score points in a 2-minute drill. March down the field and score in the clutch. Niners did that in the first half. 40 seconds, right? They had barely any time at all. They marched down the field. They get 7 points. They needed to do it again in the second half, and they did it too. 2-minute drill. Game on the line. They scored a touchdown. They went the length of the field on a team that has been in the NFC title game in back-to-back seasons. Mission accomplished. But here's the problem. They accomplished their mission with 30 seconds remaining, and Aaron Rodgers was on the other side. That's the difference between a win and a loss. If you leave 30 seconds for Jameis Winston or one of the rookie quarterbacks, you take your pick, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, 30 seconds left, they're not going to beat you. You leave 30 seconds for a mid-tier quarterback. I'm going to put Derek Carr in this conversation, even though he proved the doubters wrong on Monday night in the opener. Ben Roethlisberger now. I think you could also say this about some of the young mid-tier quarterbacks, a Josh Allen perhaps. 30 seconds might be a little less than what they need to work with to march down the field. But Aaron Rodgers is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. A proven, surgical gunslinger who plays his best in these moments, who has done this countless times in his career. If anybody can score with 30 seconds left, it's Aaron Rodgers. And he did it. So I'm not upset that the Niners lost that game. What I am upset about, if I was going to nitpick at all about the Niners' loss on Sunday night, it's the quarterback debate. Trey Lance gets the ball with 2 seconds left in the first half. What that told me, and I think it told the rest of the planet too, anybody who's watched an ounce of football in their life, 2 seconds left, they're not trotting out the field goal kicker. They know that if Trey Lance doesn't punch the football into the end zone, they get no points. Would have been a touchdown swing. 14-point swing. You either get 0 points or you get 7 points. What that told me is that the Niners trust Trey Lance in big moments. So I was confused as to why they didn't trot out Trey Lance in the second half of the football game. It's not that Jimmy Garoppolo is a bad quarterback. I think he's one of the smartest in the league. I rarely see him make mistakes with the football. Smarts, right read at the right time. But if the Niners already trust Trey Lance with the game on the line, if they don't score a touchdown there, it's a totally different ball game, and we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers would have been in victory formation. If the Niners already trust Trey Lance in those big moments, what else are they waiting for? I'll leave you to answer that, chime in, 541-630-4792, because I'm at a loss. I thought that was why they were going with Trey Lance, is that they didn't trust him in those moments yet. So I wonder why they haven't made that move already. 541-630-4792. If I have time, and I think I do, I'm going to share some audio from the Seahawks game on Sunday. This was the moment that I think really swung things. Steve Rabel on the play-by-play, Seahawks Radio Network, right here on the game. Early fourth quarter, Seattle had a chance.
3rd down and 5. Minnesota 7 of 10 on 3rd down. Here comes the blitz. Cousins got to get rid of it. Cousins does throw it. The catch is made. Turning upfield is Osborne. And even when you make the play, the Vikings make a better play. A 16-yard gain. Cousins hit, throwing off his back foot. The blitz got to him, and still he was able to get rid of the football. And Osborne runs under it, makes the catch. Outruns Ugo Amadi to the sidelines, and it's a 1st down, Minnesota.
You hear that emotion in Steve's voice. Of course, he's a former Seahawk and a huge Seahawks homer. Great broadcaster, though. But the emotion there, I think, conveying what every fan felt. 3rd down and 5, early 4th quarter, 1-score game still at that point. If you get a stop, you get the football back, and Russell Wilson can come back, and you can win this game. But they couldn't get a stop. The defense couldn't get off the field. And I think about the specifics of that play. Steve Rabel goes, well, that was a great play, just got beat by a greater one, because he's looking at the line. Seattle got pressure, which they did not do a lot on Sunday. But they got pressure because they blitzed to get pressure, and that freed up the coverage. Kirk Cousins could fit it through a tight window and make the play. If the Seahawks can't get pressure without blitzing, that play is going to happen over and over and over again, because teams know in big moments when Seattle needs a stop, they're going to have to blitz. And you can scheme against that accordingly. Kirk Cousins is smart enough to figure out Seattle's going to blitz here. They can't pressure me. They need to pressure me. They're going to blitz me. Let's dial up a hot route. Let's get something that beats the blitz. They did. If you can't get pressure without blitzing, your defense has no shot in the NFL in 2021. That's my issue with Seattle. You have great players. You have a great offense. I think the secondary is much improved. I think the linebacking core remains as solid as ever. The front four just can't hold up their end of the bargain. If they can't generate pressure, the Seahawks have no shot this year. 541-630-4792. Blazers Media Day was yesterday. The very first question asked of Damian Lillard was one of the best cut to the chase, right to the point questions I've ever heard at a press conference. I'm going to share it with you next, and I'll share my takeaway from Oregon State making history in the LA Coliseum this past weekend. 541-630-4792. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Eating, working, living pain-free. These are a few of the things many of us take for granted. Yet for many United States military veterans, finding and affording oral health care is a challenge. Dental Lifeline Network is looking for dentists who can change this. Will you volunteer to help people like Richard, a U.S. naval veteran who suffered severe PTSD after his service? He was left homeless for a period of time, and his oral and overall health are suffering. Because of congressional limitations, the VA can't provide the dental help he needs. Through our Will You See One Vet program, we focus on helping U.S. military veterans like Richard. Now we are seeking more general dentists and specialists to donate treatment to at least one veteran with special needs. When you volunteer with DLN's program to see one vet, we handle the details so you can focus on the care. If you are a dentist or know a dentist, please share this message and help us make a difference in the life of a veteran in need. Visit willyouseeonevet.org to learn more. That's willyouseeonevet.org.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now, it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit asiaretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Strong takes. JR's got him.
The Dallas Mavericks need to get a secondary ball handler and scorer. Mark Cuban will do any and everything to win another championship. He already told Rick Carlisle, hey, I'm not getting rid of a coach just to get rid of a coach. Luka Doncic is 22 years old. He has a bright future in front of him, and all he needs, better teammates.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1, 580, The Game.
Can you feel it? The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Oregon, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard. Always do your best. And if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Oregon School Activities Association and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792. That's my text line. You have been very active on that tonight, and I appreciate it. So I want to answer some of the questions that you've given me over the past few weeks. We got A's fan chiming in, a little upset, as I think they should be. That team had potential this year, just tailed off. Niner fan, we got Raider fan wanting to puff their chest. We'll talk about Raider fan and the Raider game, Monday Night Football, right here on The Game this weekend, or this week, I should say, Monday, in a few. Let's talk Blazers for a minute. Jonathan Quick, I think he works at The Athletic now. It's been a long time since I checked on that. I know he used to work at The Oregonian, but I think he's with The Athletic now. He got a question in to Damian Lillard, and I'm pretty sure I put the question in this audio clip, so I'm just going to let him ask it. He got right to the point, cut to the chase, got to the heart of the Damian Lillard drama this offseason. Is this team good enough? Jonathan Quick asking that question to the Blazers superstar.
Dame, how do you feel about this roster?
I think, over the years we've always had a competitive team, and I think, we'll be competitive again. Obviously, at the end of last season, I wanted to see our roster improve. I wanted us to have a better chance to win. And we had our conversations, throughout the summer about what that looked like and how we could take steps in that direction. And I come into this season with faith that that's going to happen.
Damian Lillard. If you noticed, his initial reaction to the question was to laugh at it. And I think that's kind of telling. Like, Damian Lillard, he's so done with the drama and the questions and people asking him, do you want to leave the Blazers? Are the Blazers good enough? Is there a rift between you and the Blazers? He just wants to move on and play basketball. And the very first question he gets in the press conference revisits that burning question we still don't really know. The other thing I found interesting is I didn't find his answer very believable. Like, I didn't think that answer was very convincing, that the Blazers really do have a roster that can contend. Sure, they went out and got Larry Nance Jr., who I agree with Dame, Larry Nance Jr. fits perfectly into the Blazers' front court. I think he gives them everything that they wanted from Zach Collins and a whole lot more. They have length, they have athleticism, but they also get someone that can contribute on offense. And Zach Collins was not that guy. That was not his game. So I think that's an upgrade, first and foremost. But I don't think the Blazers roster, by and large, is good enough. It's Dame, it's CJ, it's Nurk, and a bunch of backups. And that was the same team they had last year. They got bulldozed in round one. Don't buy this Blazers team right now. Don't believe in them yet. Now, we'll see if the coaching can make much of a difference. I think that's going to take a lot of time. Oregon State made history on Saturday. They go to Los Angeles. They beat the Trojans for the first time in 61 years. It needs to be pointed out, as impressive as that win was for the Beavers, it doesn't happen in a bubble. It takes one team to win and one team to lose. And USC is at rock bottom right now. I shared this stat earlier. If you charted the schools that have players with 4 or more star rankings on them, meaning the schools that have players who were 4 stars and 5 stars. The number of those players at USC is 46. The number of those players at Oregon State is 7. And Oregon State thrashed USC on Saturday night. That tells me that USC is not developing great players. Another example of this. In 2019, Oregon State, in a normal year, 2019, pre-pandemic, spent around $700,000 in recruiting. That was their publicly available recruiting budget. Now, USC doesn't disclose their recruiting budgets, but you can estimate they have a private jet. They have the facilities in East L.A., higher cost of living. They've got the staff budget. Clay Helton making millions. His coordinators making millions. Recruiting coaches and scouts making all that money. Going to all the recruiting show-offs and events across the country. We can assume USC spends more money than Oregon State. It doesn't matter. They can't develop as well as Oregon State can develop under Jonathan Smith. And that is jarring to me. Oregon State has a fraction of USC's budget. Oregon State does not have the facilities. They do not have the location. They do not have the history that USC has. And they went into L.A. and dominated USC. So, yes, celebrate what the Beavers did. But I think all the alarms have to be ringing in Los Angeles because that's a blue-chip program that has completely hit rock bottom. 541-630-4792. Back to the baseball topic. We looked at this last hour. The Mariners have made the playoffs 4 times in 43 previous seasons. This is the end of their 44th season. And in the final week of that season, 5 games left, they are a game and a half back for the AL wildcard. I'm rooting for the Mariners because I'm a firm believer every fan base should want to believe their team can win it all. You want to go into the season or go into the final month of the season and believe your team can make a miracle run. And we have stories of this in the last 2 decades. I think about sports like soccer, the Timbers just get in the playoffs one year and win MLS Cup. Or in hockey, the Blues were the worst team in the NHL at one point of the season. They fire their coach. They change up their scheme and their roster. And 4 months later, they win the Stanley Cup. We've seen it in the NBA. LeBron and the Cavs struggled when they all came back to Cleveland. Mid-season, they turn it around. They get to the finals. Now, they lost the finals that year, but my point stands. We've seen examples of teams that just get in. Just get in and see what happens. But the Mariners can't get in. And so their fan base has had no hope. 4 playoff appearances in 44 years. You're trained to believe this team is going to choke down the stretch and burn out and fade. I hope this team is different just for those fans. Just so those fans have something to hope about. 541-630-4792. One last thing, this segment, then we'll move on to some more. Somebody brought up that they've become a North Medford fan because of our radio broadcasts, which is so cool. But like I said earlier, if they get blown out, it's not fun. Like, I'm a good radio. I like to think I'm a good play-by-play broadcaster. I like to think I'm enthusiastic as a play-by-play broadcaster. There's not much that I can work with if they get drilled on Friday night and it's a 4-touchdown margin. So I give credit to those kids because the game I watched in Hillsborough Friday night was a thrill ride from the first whistle to the final whistle. Literally making plays from start to finish. That's high school football on Friday nights. That is my favorite thing that we get to cover as a radio station. And I implore you, Friday night, 6:45, listen to that North Medford team. Hear what that North Medford team's going to do. 6:45 Friday night, they're welcoming Bend to historic Spiegelberg Stadium in Medford. I like the Black Tornado in that one. Their defense has really tuned it up the last few weeks. They had trouble getting off the field on third downs in their opener. That's why Wes Lynn killed them. Wes Lynn mercy ruled them. It was ugly. I know the coaches are listening, and they're going, Matt, stop picking on us, please. Matt, stop bringing this up. Third down defense in that game was not fun. They would get third and long. The other team would convert every time. Last 2 weeks, they've tightened that up. They got back-to-back wins. I think they can make it 3. I hope they can make it 3. Tune in Friday night. Find out if that happens. And then I'm going to have the South Medford game Friday night. I'm driving down to Eugene, which means I get to go to one of my favorite restaurants in Eugene right before the kick. And then cover South Medford at Sheldon. Have I talked about that place? I think it's Bangers and Brews. Do they still have that place? Yeah, Bangers and Brews in Eugene, right across the street from Sheldon High School. And like if you're going to a Ducks game this fall and you're looking for a fun pregame, that's where I would go. Or I've told my wife this because we love going to Eugene and like day tripping a weekend. We just haven't done it since the pandemic. But I've told my wife, hey, the next time we go to Eugene, we got to go to this place. Because the food rocks. It's like bratwurst and bangers and mash, my kind of food. Lots of meat, some carbs, and some really good beers on tap. Like they had Fort George on tap the last time I was there. I don't really drink heavily before a broadcast. I might have one just to loosen myself up after a tense drive because I hate driving through traffic. And I'm going to make sure that if I have a drink, it's going to be like 3 or 4 hours before the game so there's no impact on my body or on my mentals. But I will, loosen up, have a beer, have a plate of some good food before that game, really take that in. Love visiting Eugene, love in that area. And going to have a lot of fun Friday night. So I got South Medford at Sheldon. That's on 99.5 FM, 880 AM. And then Kyle Clements has a North Medford game that I just talked about, 6:45 Friday night, right here on the Game. When I come back, somehow, some way, the Raiders are living up to their motto. Just win, baby. 3-0, 3 electric games. Are we going to have a fourth? Is that going to be the last unbeaten team in the NFL? Let's talk about the Raiders, their chances on Monday night, their chances the rest of the season. Next, right here, Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Plus, audio from Oregon practice today with Triquez Bridges, Ducks DB, and the biggest questions heading into Week 4. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
Commissioner Dyer, we've had over 100 fires in the last year, and it feels like we're one event away from a repeat. What are some of the things that we could do to be ready?
Just general preparedness. A go bag, which consists of flashlights, water, a charged cell phone, many items that are going to be necessities when you need to evacuate.
Your Jackson County Board of Commissioners asked that you join them to conserve water,
prepare,
and sign up for emergency alerts.
Visit jcwildfireandsmoke.com and learn more.
145 over 92.
180 over 111. 182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Jim Rome's got opinions.
Yes, Joker came with a hard foul. Yes, it was a flagrant foul. But that punishment does not fit the crime. You do not throw the MVP of the league out of a playoff game because of that transgression. And I'm here to tell you, if it were LeBron or Steph or Giannis or KD, none of them are getting run for that foul.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
I try not to beat your head with Raider talk because it would be so easy for me. Like if I ever got a call from, say, a sports station in Vegas or the Bay Area or Sacramento or the Central Valley, somewhere that is Raider crazy, I know that I could spend a whole 4 hours on that team, and I'd be totally fine. I could have compelling radio. I would get calls. That would be one of the easiest jobs in my whole career. Just talk about the team you love, Matt Bagley, and talk about them till you can't talk anymore. I could do it. But I try not to do that for you because I don't think there's a lot of Raider fans in Southern Oregon. Like I've said before, I think there's probably more Seahawks fans than anybody, then Niners fans, then Raider fans, probably number 3. Number 3, sometimes number 2, just depends on the year. Generally, I think number 3 in terms of fandom. That said, it's a pretty big number 3. So I'm going to talk about the Raiders here. Sunday was sloppy. They threw a pick 6 to start the game. They gave up a touchdown on the next drive. They gave up a 2-point try and a touchdown at the end of the game. Sloppy. It was sluggish. They got off to a 14-0 deficit. And still, somehow, some way, the Raiders still won that football game. To me, that matters. Just win, baby, right? That Raider mystique idea that dates back half a century from Al Davis, where his team would fight and scrap and claw, and maybe they suck in the first quarter and the second and third quarter. Maybe they get out to a large deficit. Maybe they commit a lot of penalties and shoot themselves in the foot, throw a pick 6, give up a couple easy touchdowns, and then at the end of the game, they get clutch. They tighten up. They find a way to win. Just win, baby. Raiders are just winning. Raiders are 3-0. And I think the biggest question to me with regards to 4 and 5 and 6 and 7-0 is, can that team stay clutch in the clutch? Can that team still just win in the fourth quarter? Because the way the Raiders are playing in the second half of these games is so much better than the way they've played in seasons past. The defense is getting stops. They're getting turnovers. Like I said earlier, they're giving John Gruden's offense one more drive or 2 more drives to work with. And credit to Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is making some of the best throws of his career. In 2016, the Raiders let him air it out. He nearly put up an MVP season before he broke his ankle. 2017, he had a broken back. 2018, 2019, and 2020, you could say it's John Gruden. You could say the defense wasn't helping him. You could say that they had young receivers, and originally in 2018 they had no receivers. It was just murderer's row in the receiving corps. 7th rounders and 6th rounders and guys signed off the street. Guys traded for day 3 picks like Zay Jones, who's been a revelation. The Raiders have really emerged. It's the best roster Derek Carr has had, arguably, since that 2016 team that reached the playoffs. Could be even better. And he's throwing even better than he's ever been at his point in his career. This team in the fourth quarter is dominant. If they stay that way and they play that way for 4 quarters against the Chargers, they beat the Chargers. But I'm leaning L.A. just because that's the most challenging opposition the Raiders have faced this year. I would love to hear what you think. I would love to turn this into Matt Bagley gets to talk about his favorite team for the rest of the show. I'm never going to make you do that. We're never going to force that down anybody's ears because that's not what I think is the best radio. I don't think it's the most compelling radio in the Rogue Valley. But if you want to talk about that, have at it. 541-630-4792. Let's get Triquez Bridges, Oregon DB, talking about the matchup with Stanford this week. In years past, the Cardinals have had some tall wideouts. They've had some big guys, some go-get-'em guys. Is that going to be a problem for Triquez Bridges? Does he like the matchup in Palo Alto? Triquez Bridges, talking about that.
Just bringing physicality to the game. And just me being able to play with my range and my length, I mean, that's going to be a great matchup, too, with the guys on the outside.
Length and physicality. Great matchup on the outside. I agree with Triquez Bridges. Mario Cristobal has talked about how smart Stanford is. He credits David Shaw and the intelligence of his team every single time they face off with the Cardinal. But I think the biggest factor in that game is the talent in the Oregon secondary versus the talent in the Stanford receiving corps. Give David Shaw credit. Stanford was built a certain way a decade ago. Power football, smash mouth inside the tackles. They were very much an emulator of early 2000s NFL football. Look at Jim Harbaugh with the Niners. Look at John Gruden in his first stint in Oakland way back in the day. I formations, split back, pro formations, quote unquote, and a lot of power football. The NFL doesn't play that way anymore. Neither does college football. And David Shaw grew out of that. And so Stanford has spread the football out. They've gotten big, lengthy, athletic pass catchers that can make plays in one-on-one coverage, make plays on the outside, make plays in the end zone, in the red zone. And that's going to be an issue for Oregon. But this is where Mario Cristobal comes in handy. This is where having the number 1 recruiter in the Pac-12 is an advantage. There is no position on this Oregon team where you look at the roster and say, these guys can't compete physically. Now, in terms of experience, I have my concerns at some positions, right? The Ducks have a lack of experience on both the offensive and defensive lines. That's what happens when guys graduate and guys get drafted. The Ducks have a lack of experience at some points of the linebacking core because so many guys are out injured. I don't have that concern in the secondary. And I have no concerns about their physicality. I like Oregon's matchup with Stanford's wideouts. I think they're going to shut the Cardinal passing game down just like they did last year. And I think Stanford has to find other ways to move the football. If they can't, Oregon's going to win this one pretty comfortably, pretty early. 541-630-4792. You can chime in if you got thoughts. I talked about the biggest questions heading into Week 4 of the NFL, and I hit on one of them earlier. Can the unbeaten teams stay unbeaten? Another question that's on my mind is how's Tom Brady going to feel when he walks out to the stadium on Sunday? Think about this. Like, I have never worked a job as long as Tom Brady worked with the Patriots. But I'm not going to say I'm Tom Brady. I'm not going to compare myself to Brady that way, but I am going to say it's not like I jump from job to job either. I worked in one radio station for 3 years. Before that, I worked at my college radio station for 4 years. And then when I got the opportunity to move in Medford 5, almost 6 years ago, I took it. It's been a long time, right? It's not like I was there for 3 days. Made rapport, made connections, made memories that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And still to this day, if I drive through Klamath Falls, I want to visit my college radio station, and I want to hang out downtown near the radio stations I used to work at. Still to this day, if I'm checking Facebook, I keep tabs on 92.5 K-Lad in Klamath Falls, and I want to know what Jay and Rhonda and Rob and all those folks out there are doing. To this day, if I tune in on the radio listening to an Oregon Tech basketball game, which I like to do in the wintertime, check in on the alma mater, and I hear somebody voice a commercial, I go, oh, I know that voice. And in Medford, when I visit, of course, everybody's got to talk to me. I come down maybe once a month or once every few months, and everybody's got to talk to me. We're going to hang out, going to have a fun time, right? You make memories, you make rapport, you make connections that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Now imagine working in the same job for 20 years. It's got to be tenfold for Tom Brady. The memories, the connections, the emotions. One job, one place, 20 years. And he gets to go back there on Sunday night. But he's going to be in a different locker room, in a different uniform. That has to be weird for Tom Brady. I think either we get the greatest Brady performance ever, emotional and passionate and intense. Think Favre when his father passed and he played through it on Monday Night Football and rained touchdowns on the Raider defense. A special night that he'll remember for the rest of his life. Either I think we're going to get one of those nights, or we're going to get a night where Brady tries a little too hard and things go badly for him in Foxborough. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. All I know for sure right now is there is no one in the world who will feel as much emotional pressure to succeed on Sunday night as Tom Brady. All that love, all those memories rushing back as he walks through that stadium on Sunday night. I don't want to be Brady. I don't want to have all that pressure to impress and to do the best you can in that moment. He's either going to go off or he's going to have a terrible show. 541-630-4792. One last thing in this segment, then we'll move on to the last one of the night. Saturday college football, right here on the game. Let me double check because I'm pretty sure we have a twofer. We got two college football games on the game on Saturday, and we do, yeah. So Saturday morning, 8:30 pregame, 9 o'clock kickoff. Michigan at Wisconsin. That's a surprisingly good game. Badgers are coming off a brutal loss. I think they're going to play fired up, and Michigan right now has the inside track in the Big Ten. There are people who think Michigan has a better shot at the playoff than Ohio State does because Michigan hasn't lost a game yet. So I'm excited to see, finally, is this the year, against all the odds, that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are back? I want to see that on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. That's Saturday morning, 9 o'clock kick, 8:30 pregame, right here on the game. And 4 o'clock, pregame coverage, followed by the kick at 6, Oregon State versus Washington. The Beavers are coming off of an emotional, program-defining win. Can they go for double? Can they double it up? Hosting Washington, big-time game. If you win this one, you're in the running for a Pac-12 title. If you win this one, your destiny is in your hands. Washington is the toughest team they'll face until those guys in green and yellow the Friday after Thanksgiving. Can Oregon State win that game Saturday? Can they beat Washington? We'll talk about that next with Jonathan Smith. But again, Beaver football, 6 o'clock Saturday, 4 o'clock pregame coverage right here on the game. Ducks at 11 a.m., 11 a.m. pregame coverage, and a 12:30 kick on 99.5 FM, 880 a.m., KCMX. Last segment of the show coming up. Jonathan Smith on Oregon State's dominant performance Saturday. The biggest questions of Week 4. I've got one more left for you. And a reminder about this weekend. That's all headed your way next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
If you came across a child struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you recognize a 13-year-old boy who gets into fights at school?
Not because he's a boy, but because he's hungry?
Or a 2-year-old girl who cries all night, not because she's sick,
but because she went to bed without enough to eat.
Or maybe a 9-year-old boy who hopes a friend invites him to a sleepover,
not for fun, just so he can have dinner.
Or a 15-year-old girl who goes for walks over lunch,
so her friends won't know she doesn't have anything to eat.
I am the 1 in 7 American children who struggle with hunger. Kids you pass by every day, but never knew were hungry. I am child hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
From opening night to Super Bowl 56, don't miss a second of the NFL's biggest season ever. Hi, this is Kurt Warner of Westwood One. Join our crew each week for the best primetime NFL action. Thursday, Sunday, and of course, Monday Night Football. Listen to the NFL's brightest stars on Westwood One, the exclusive radio home for every primetime NFL game. Right here.
Covering football all year long, 96.1, 580 The Game.
Here's that song again. Here's that song again. For the 100th time today. Here's that song again. It's gonna be stuck in your head all day. Here's that song again. It will make you cray, cray.
You love your kids enough to watch that TV show a bajillion times. Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat for their age and size. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Wrapping up the show this segment, NFL on Sunday right here on The Game. 7 a.m. coverage starts with NFL Insider. Then we got Seahawks at 11. We've got Sunday Night Football at 5. Should be a great day. Right here, 96.1 580 The Game. Seahawks kick at 1. We start our pregame at 11. Jonathan Smith, head coach of the Oregon State Beavers, was asked about his offensive line muscling past USC on Saturday night. I thought they dominated. I thought they were a key to the game. What did Jonathan Smith think about what his guys in the trenches?
They played well. Coach in his year 4 now, best performance. I mean, statistically, yeah, really solid. We told the team yesterday. That's why we try to have a lineman of the week. Well, it was tough to separate those 5 guys. You mentioned you rush for that kind of production and eliminate the negative plays, no sacks. They played pretty well.
Yeah, about his line's dominance was what I was going to say. They played pretty well. understatement of the week from Coach Smith. Let's just look at what the Beavers did. Week 1, they couldn't protect Sam Neuer. They sub him out for Chance Nolan. They couldn't protect him either. Week 2, week 3, they adjust. And week 4, they go to L.A., and Chance Nolan had a clean pocket to work from. And the receivers got open, and Chance Nolan made plays, and the Trojans carry a big L out of the Coliseum as a result. If Oregon State can keep protecting the quarterback, this offense is good enough to hang with anyone else in the conference, including Oregon. If they can protect the quarterback. Now, I said earlier, I think USC is at their absolute rock bottom. The Trojans recruit really well. They have over 40 four-star or higher players on their roster. They don't develop. They don't coach those players. They're not building those players up. So they get all these hyped recruits, and they fizzle out as soon as they get on campus. The guys at Oregon State get better over 3 and 4 years' time. I think that Oregon State will have tougher opponents in Pac-12 play. Washington does a better job developing players than USC does. Cal and Stanford do a better job developing than USC does. Obviously, the same can be said for Oregon. They're back-to-back Pac-12 champs for a reason. They develop better than USC does. If Oregon State hangs with those teams, let's say they beat Washington on Saturday. That's, to me, just as impressive as beating USC. Beating a different kind of team in Washington. I think that would be a really impressive win, and it would give me a lot of hope that the Beavers really could contend in the Pac-12 North. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Folks chiming in? Yeah. I got to go Raiders here on the text line. Always warms my heart. The folks in silver and black. Though, it just said Raiders. I could always, you never know. It could be a Southern Oregon Raiders. And they won last Saturday, too. Like, I've talked about SOU on the show before. Used to give them a lot more attention than I do now. But Matt Struck, the Crater kid leading Southern Oregon, that's one of my favorite stories in the whole state right now. Right? Forget about what the Ducks and the Beavers are doing. If you go to Ashland on a Saturday, there's a chance you get to watch 5 or 6 touchdowns and several hundred passing yards or insane comebacks like they had. Now, I know it's a smaller level. It's a lesser level of college football, but anytime you erase a 20-point fourth-quarter deficit, I don't care if you're playing peewee ball, high school ball, or the NFL. That's awesome. Southern Oregon, kudos to them. Kudos to Matt Struck. Wrapping the show. 2 minutes left. The biggest questions I have heading into week 4. We talked about whether or not unbeaten teams will stay unbeaten. We talked about Tom Brady going back to the workplace he had for 20 years and all those emotions rushing back to him. The last question I have heading into this week is what the heck is wrong with the rookie quarterbacks? Trey Lance can't even break the lineup, not until the bye. If he's not the starter at the bye, then I think the Niners are smoking something. But Justin Fields gets hit 1 billion times in his debut. Zach Wilson, same issue against Denver and New England the week prior. Mac Jones fell apart against New Orleans, veteran defense, veteran coordinator. And Trevor Lawrence does not look like the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This was supposed to be a gilded quarterback class, and I was right there with all those experts talking about how this class was special. Lawrence was composed at Clemson, carried himself as a young player in big-time games against Bama and Ohio State. I thought he was a natural in the NFL. But I think the speed of the game is too much for him right now. He's making throws that he maybe could get away with in college. There's no way he can get away with these throws in the NFL. He's getting picked off way too often. Obvious interception throws, obvious turnover, bad decision throws. Justin Fields, speed of the game, It's having issues for him too, but it's the D line. He thinks he can just scramble out of pressure and evade the step up out of the pocket, evade the rush. It's not that easy. Myles Garrett was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. He ate dinner on Sunday, just terrorizing Justin Fields and the Bears O-line. And then Zach Wilson, the Jets, they've played some really tough defenses. I want to see what Wilson does and when the schedule gets easier. Same goes for Mac Jones. When the schedule lightens up, I think those guys will be a little bit better. So far, rookie class looking like rookies, reminding all of us just how hard that quarterback position is. More tomorrow, 4 o'clock, right here.